Supercoaches, I hope you had a fun time of it yesterday with those team lists. Do make sure you jump into my overall group in the description as well. But let's kick it off with our mid-range madness video. We're looking at players close to 400k all the way up to around that 600k mark. And there's plenty of them. And a lot of these guys can make or break the start of your season and get you off on the right foot. You know, start off with a 70, 80, 60 if they're a cheaper guy. And yeah, push you on with the scoring, obviously, which gets you a good rank. And then you don't have to worry about trading them in. You can focus on some other guys that you'd want, whether it's the cheapies that we went through in a previous video. So go back and check that one out. I know there's a lot of fancy stuff on there as well, but we do both on here. I'm obsessed with it, so that's why you get the deep dive on all of them. But let's go through the fullbacks to kick things off in that mid-range. And look, it's probably not too much in this one. You've got Pappenhausen and Lehigh Hopewadi that kind of come into that list. And with Pap kind of worried about injury with him, we can't take him. Lehigh, I think, with their really nice start, you would take him in the center wing if you did want to jump on Lehigh. He just looks awesome, and he could easily bank some tries in the early going if you're interested in him. I think we just keep it as simple as that. Like, they just have that really nice 3-round run, and he could get you off to a great start. You could potentially move him on from there. Joe Gray, he's going to get the spot as well at 541k. Had a really nice average last year, but I do think at fullback you can't take him at this one. And you will see Tane Tuapiki with the fullback slot. So I very much hope that he gets center wing, because he should, given he's named on the wing here. And at 459, I think he can definitely score some points, but how consistent is that going to be in this side on the wing? Let's move straight to the center wing here and get into those players from that point of view, because I think this is where it gets a little more exciting. I will have to slot some guys in like Dylan Lucas. We'll mention him while we're here at 616k. He's a really solid center wing or second row forward option just for safety. And he obviously has a great running game as well and can score you some attacking plays. So he's someone that I'm really interested in. There's a bunch of nights that we are keen on, especially on that left side with Greg Marzou, who we'll talk about as well. And then, Ponga. So Lucas, can you fit all of them in? I think you can. Do you want to? It's up to you. He's a really fun one at 616 that should eclipse that 63 average. Be pretty close to that in base power, and then has the attacking upside on top of that with the 80-minute efforts. Already mentioned Lehigh, but Bo Fermor with the buy in round one, I think he's a really easy guy to slot in, but I think he's also an easy guy to wait until you see the first few games. And if he kicks it off with maybe closer to a 70 average, then I think you could grab him in round 4 as a cut price guy. That could be a 650 to 700k really solid guy in center wing or second row forward. So you're looking a bit safer with Fermor and Lucas, but they both have attacking upside. They're not basement boring second row forwards, which is great. Alamotti gets the wing slot. I think he'll be okay, but he was starting to play really well at center. And yeah, we'll see how that plays out this week if he can get some tries, but he's someone I think you can probably watch heading into round 1. And if you're going to take a flyer on someone like that, I think Bradman Best would be the play with that really nice start to their draw. Blaze Talangi hasn't made the squad yet, so we can leave him out. Tuipulotu, is he going to get a spot in this side? It might be his mates, Sione Finau, who might get that spot. And some people will go on Roger. He's owned by 19%, so there's definitely plenty looking at him there. And with his efforts, I think we should see on the wing, I think he'll be pretty good, but how much extra value can you get out of him? He probably gets to 600, but is that enough for you? And does he have that 100 upside? Probably not. At 4% owned, we have Selwyn Cobbo. I think the Broncos will be better, and we should see an improved little start from Selwyn in this one. But again, is it 62, 63 upside from his 56? Maybe. Is that enough? Might not be. AJ Brimson, he's only 2% owned, and fair enough, given he's got the buy in round 1, but when he plays 5/8 in recent years, he's into the mid-60s average, and we're seeing him get really involved, and obviously the attacking stats, he's such a jet. He's so fast. So Brimson's a really easy guy that you can slot on your bench in round 1. You can bring him into loop if you wanted to vice-captaincy loop in that setup with a Nath Cleary in round 1 or something like that. So Brimson, a really solid guy to look at. I'm personally looking at him. I'm not sure if he's going to make the side, but I'm keen at some point on him and guys like Jaden Campbell from that Titan side, and Bo Fermor is a safer one at that point. Matt Timoko, I do expect an improvement from him at 518, but how much is going to be the The big question in that Raiders side, I'd probably take Ali Leataua at 58.3 average last year in his 6 games at 513. He seems to have the highest upside attacking wise, and he is an absolute beast. So I'm excited to see him play. He's at 4% and basically at the same price as Greg Marzhew with that lovely starting draw. And he looks a little bit more free flowing in his running this year. So Greg, I think, is a really fun pick to kick things off. Hopefully we do see Campbell Graham in there at 505k. Might just be worth waiting to see with that Rabbitohs side being pretty rough right now. You do have Isaac Tungo and also Jarrell Skelton, who are both under 10%, 3 for Isaac and 8% for Jarrell. Isaac, we know he's done it before and at a good clip. He got over 800k last year in the early going and then dropped all the way down to average 51. So I can't see him averaging worse than this, but how much better is it going to be? That's up to you and your risk for your appetite for risk. Jarrell has a really nice Supercoach game, clearly at 64 in his 4 games last year. Got that base power, and if the Tigers can play all right to start, I think he can get those attacking stats, which would be really, really good fun. And guys, this center wing and also the second row forward, the mid-range type of players is where I think you can go and take those little bit of point of difference plays and do some really good work in that section. This section through the 450s is pretty rough. There's a lot of that 400 mark, and we do have Casey McLean, who's 13% owned at 443. I think he has a pretty solid season. He had his average of 50 last year, and I think he can get to that fairly comfortably, and that's 5 points or so of value. Can he get to 55 plus? Yes, he's in the Panthers, but do you want to take that punt from ball one? I think you can. Nwangani Tawaze at 438k in a team that looks a bit average. He had the one game which bumped his price up, and I think that's enough to personally avoid him. But at 12% owned, you got to have a look at these guys as well when they're decent percentage ownership. And then Adam Dewey at 431k with the dual position as well is always handy. And if he gets the goals, I think he can be a 50s guy this year after being a 49 player last year. And if he can get to 54, that's 10 points of value, which I think is pretty solid for a guy that has dual and is goal kicking and is just a jet. He looks so good on the weekend. So excited to see Adam Dewey play. Jack Howarth at 10% as well at 426. And then you got Ben Trebojevic there as well. So Jack, I think, is going to have a great year, but has a bit of an awkward start. Para first up into the bye into Panthers. I'm going to have a look at him following that and see where he's at personally. I had him in my side just until this last little bit. I think, unless something changes, he's just come out of my side, and I think I'll probably stick with that going forward. And then Burbo can definitely come out and do a good job at 419. But do you go for someone like Howarth instead with maybe a little bit more upside? Burbo hasn't stuck it together for multiple weeks and multiple years at this point. And we've got guys like Ty Munro I just can't go with now. Junior Tupou, Jack Bird, all fine. Bird's owned by 27%, which is pretty crazy as well. Let's go to 5/8. In that mid-range tier, we'll go from 400 up, and it's Jack Cogger. I think he's fine. Kyle Flanagan, fine. Not super exciting. We actually didn't get to speak about Chanel Harris-Tavita in our Cash Cows video at 330. He's got that spot now, and he played 17 games last year, but that included a lot off the bench. He can definitely play well, and he has had some moments and stretches of time where he can be 50 plus at 330. But the question is going to be, does he keep that spot? Up to you to take that gamble or not. We have Luke Metcalf at 443. He's in a great position to go further than his 50 average last year, which included that injury game in the first 10 minutes. 55 plus, I'm expecting fairly comfortably priced at a 46 average there, which I think is pretty solid for sure. So with Metcalf, is that right? 46? No, a little bit less than that. Yeah, 44. We had a few guys up there that are have been mucked around with their price as well, just like Metcalf going down a bit. So yeah, pretty good spot to have close to that 10 points of value fairly safely in a side where he's goal kicking and he's going to be the general playmaker in this side. Jack Cole's been named. I think he's fine, but next to Cleary, how much excitement is there? I don't think there's much on my end. I probably would just go for Metcalf on at that price point for sure. KO Weeks, you can get at 5/8 as a fullback, which is pretty interesting at 530. I think I want to see a little bit more from him. Braden Trindle's 23k more and has plenty of attack in him as well. I think he's not the worst pick either, Trindle, if you want a bit of a point of difference play. And then you have Jerome Luai and Tom Dearden at 582 and 597. both going to be in control of their sides and could both easily go into the 60s. But, Jerome I had in my early drafts, and I've, taken him out in the last month or something like that. I think he's going to have a good season, but how quickly is he going to go up, and how early is he going to go up as well? And then Dearden at 597, he's in a really good spot to do well this season also. But if Tom Duffy comes in and does a great job, then does it mitigate his need to be able to really take control and go 65, 70? Potentially. And then we'll leave Munster and the crew above him for the guns video as well. All right, halfback, under 600k. We've got Luai in there as well, obviously. Wishart, is he going to start at 1 if Farlongo and Pappenhausen are out? It's definitely a chance. I mentioned Trindle. We've got Fogarty in there at 535. He's a fine pick, but you probably just go up to like Hines or Cleary. It's a bit of an awkward spot, this mid-range halves. There's not really anyone of note, apart from the Chad. How good is he? All right, let's do second row forward, the hardest one last, and let's roll through the others so we can feel like we're getting close to the end of our options. But under 600k, you've got Reece Robson in the hooking position. I think he'll be pretty solid, get the job done. You've got McInnes as well. Same sort of situation, but has a dual, which is cool. Does he need to play the massive minutes? Probably not. Connor Watson at 59.6 was his average last year, and he's in a really good spot with the dual as well. And in this scenario, I'd go for him, I think. Not sitting in my current side, but has been in and out, and 27% is a really good spot. All over him in fantasy. But you're going to need the attacking stats, I think, to make money here. Which I think you'll get some, but how much is the question. Reid will be solid to start again. Same with Jeremy Marshall-King. Wade Egan's the interesting one at 490, 3% owned. If they get off to a decent start, he seems to score tries, seems to set a few up as well. And Sam Verrills looks like he's got the spot and should do a decent job, but a buy round 1, 416, there's probably cheaper options like Starling and like we have mentioned in other videos. Noah Paddy as well is a potential option for you. Now, mid-range for the front row forwards, which will not be able to knock out a few dual position guys as well. Jack DeBellin at 551, probably a no. Fisher Harris, I think, can easily average 60. Can he average 65? Maybe, but that's a little bit of a stretch, obviously. And do you want to pay 550 for 7 to 10 points of value? It's fairly conservative, fairly easy to see him getting there, I think, which is good. Jackson Ford, no. Current out round 1, no. Tino at 531, along with Stefano. I think that they're both really good picks. Do you have to pick Tino from round 1? No. Can you? Yes. Is it a good pick? Yes. Can you wait till round 2, 3, 4? Yes. All of it with Tino. He looked awesome in his little stint the other day. Speaking of looking awesome, Stefano had 2 consistent games, and I think that he's one of those early season targets. I think if you don't start with him, you could easily go for in a round 4, round 5, something like that, if he's looking really, really solid and has that try-scoring ability, which we know he can. It's just been very sporadic in games for the Tigers. Hazleton, try-scoring machine. He's got AFB with him now. Be interesting to see those two coming off the back fence together. Lindsay Smith, a really easy, consistent guy to potentially pick. I think can go 55 to 60. Much more than that is probably a no. Jai Arrow, 497.5k for him. Yeah, it's probably just a pick at the moment. We saw what happened in round 1 last year. But guys, if you haven't looked into the private group this year, it's a lot of prizes and stuff for fantasy, a lot of advice for fantasy. If you like to play both, I think it's a great spot for you. We've got Supercoach prizes as well, and I can help you with your teams in that one too. So go in and check that out. It's a cracking community. We're up near 300 people now, which is just wild, and super appreciative of everyone that has entered that. And make sure you do subscribe and follow, so you can see when I do post a Supercoach video. Moving down the line, I just want to see Flegler out there. Takaaho, they put up too high. Henry's out round 1. He'll be interesting for sure. And then getting down the line, is really not too much else at that 400k. So let's go to the second row forwards from 600 down. We will do the guns video very soon. You will see my team reveal on Sunday? Still on Saturday, hey. The games are too early on Sunday morning. All right, so Will Preston, he can go in the guns video. What a jet. We spoke about both for more. Isaiah Pupley off the bench, you have to leave out. Ruben Cotter, how good is he? Up the cows. Teague Wilton at 550. I think he can be over 600k pretty comfortably this year. I'm expecting 60 plus average, but how much closer to 65 to 70? It's probably very low percentage, 60 to 65, 50 to 60% chance, in my opinion. Not a lot in this next section. Sean Bloor should definitely improve, but he didn't look anything special in the trial, so I'd rather pick Stefano than Bloor. Tino, you can pick him both, obviously. Kaipi's Paul, I think, will have a jump this year. He picked up a couple offloads in that trial game. He's got that right hand free now, which is great. And I expect about 60 for him this year, so 6.5 points of value. Would I pick him over Bateman? Maybe. He looked okay, and I'd probably pick Hosking over the three of them. At 513k, we know what he can deliver. He went 106 and 92 or something in his first 2 games last year before some lower minutes and then obviously getting injured as well. So Hosking has the upside, and I think he's someone that I could potentially take. I'm definitely taking him in fantasy or Supercoach, at least one of them. So it might end up being over here on Supercoach to potentially get his upside at a price that's not unreasonable at all at 513k. Oh, Helam Lukey, that's sad. That is sad. Sorensen gets the start. I don't think you can begin with him. It's just injury worries and all that kind of stuff. And does he go into the middle when IPAP comes on? There's a few question marks. I think you just need to wait and see with Scott at this point. Toby Couchman at 483, I think, can have a 50 plus year. Is it going to happen from ball one? I'll probably want to see the minutes from this outfit. He's not one of those guys that should have a heap attacking upside, but base stats are hectic. Morgan Smithies, yeah, you probably can't go there. Tom Gilbert, I think you can go for just ahead of Jack Williams. I think Williams has a pretty good season. Gilbert, I'm probably expecting to be over 500k fairly early in this season, whether it's sort of around 4, 5, 6. And he should, hit 50 plus. It's just, do you want him from the start, or do you want to jump into him a little bit later? It's a pretty good price, to be honest, for Tommy Gilbert. And there's other guys, at a similar price point down here now at like Alex Seyfarth, who I expect to have a really nice season as well on that right edge, next to probably Galvin, with Luai, you'd imagine and assume, get the left-hand side. So Seyfarth is cool. Do I have him over Kelmer? Probably just. I don't know. I think Kelmer can be solid too. You're looking for his attacking stats next to Moses. That's why you own him. You're not buying him for his defensive base, that's for sure, after those missed tackles on the weekend. Dallas Duncan should be solid at 420, but how much value and how early? Whisperer just put out a post saying that there was heaps of eyes at training yesterday, and Hubner was training at 13. So does that put Tallis back to the edge? And I think, to be honest, if Tallis is on the edge, I like him better probably for some attacking stats. So keep an eye on that one for Tallis. Felice Kafusi, what a man. Oh, Brendan Pickera, I can't even make the squad. So we'll leave it there, guys. That is the mid-range. I just wanted to go through this like I'm being you. And all right, I need a mid-range for this position. How would I attack it? And just wanted to give you some quick and easy thoughts just so you can put your team together, especially for those that are looking to get their team together for the first time in this preseason with 4 days to go. And I'm so excited that we're 4 days out from Vegas games, kicking it off with the Raiders and the Wars. And yeah, make sure you do go in the description, guys. Get that overall Supercoach link code, which will be awesome. And we'll catch you in, I've got a couple more Supercoach videos to get out before round 1 here. We'll get the guns out, and we'll obviously get my round 1 team out as well. So thanks for being here. We'll catch you in that next video.